Alright, here's lesson 31, part 2. I'm on page 3, problem 5. It says, draw a graph of the circle with equation x squared plus y squared equals 9. So that tells me that my the center of my circle is at the origin because nothing is being added or subtracted from my x or my y. And I'm going to have a radius of 3 because this is the 9 is the radius squared. So I'm going to try my best to draw my circle. You can use Desmos to help you if you're not sure how to even start. Ugh, it's ugly, but it works. So question A says, what are the solutions to the system of circle and line when the circle is given by x squared plus y squared equals 9 and the line is given by y equals 2? So what that means is right here, the y value is 2. So no matter what x is, y equals 2. So if you look on Desmos and you click on those spots, you should get solutions at negative 2.236 for your x value, 2 for your y, because y is always 2 no matter what x is, and the same thing, 2.236, but positive, and y is 2. So what happens now when the line is given by y equals 3? Well, remember our radius was 3, so it's just going to, boom, I know my drawing is terrible, but if my drawing was better, it would only hit in one spot, and that's when x equals 0 and y equals 3. And how about if y equals 4? Well, that's way up here. That's above even my ugly circle. There's no solution right there. Okay. All right, let's go to page 4. Problem 6 says, by solving the equations as a system, find the points common to the line with the equation x minus y equals 6 and the circle with equation x squared plus y squared equals 26. Graph the line in the circle to show those points. So first, I'm going to solve it. I'm just going to plug it into Desmos, and 26 is a little more than 5. So my radius is going to be around 5.1 something something. Okay, so my radius is going to hit here, 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 and here. I know it stems out from the origin. Still not looking pretty. Okay, and then I have this line x minus y equals 6. I'm going to put this in slope-intercept form. So negative y equals negative x plus 6. So if I divide everything by negative 1, I get y equals x minus 6. So I have a slope of positive 1 and a y-intercept at negative 6, which is this guy down here. I'm going to change my color, and I know that I'm going to go up 1, over 1, up, oops, this. So I'm going to have an intersection here and here. Okay, your Desmos screen will look infinitely prettier than mine. So now I'm going to do the algebraic solution of these, and there was a reason I found y in slope-intercept form like that. Okay, it says to solve for y in terms of x. That means just get it into slope-intercept form and then plug that in. So right here, that's where I'm going to plug in x minus 6 for my y. So I have x squared plus x minus 6 squared equals 26. X squared plus, and then I get x squared minus 12x plus 36 equals 26. I'm going to combine my like terms. 2x squared minus 12x minus 26 plus 10 equals 0. Divide both sides by 2, and I get x squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0. If I factor that out, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to make positive 5, but add up to negative 6. It's going to be negative 5 and negative 1. So I have x minus 5 and x minus 1. Okay, equals 0. So my solution should occur when x equals 5, which is about right here. Okay, even with my hideous circle, and x equals 1. Okay, wasn't pretty, but it's there. Okay, there's x equals 1 is about there. So I wasn't too far off. Okay, so the lesson summary. You solve the linear equation for y in terms of x, so that means rewrite it in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. M is your slope, your rise over your run. So you go up and then you go over, and then your b value is your y-intercept, so wherever it hits the y-axis. Then you replace y in the quadratic equation with this, y equals mx plus b. Okay, and that'll give you an equation in one variable. You solve it for x, you might have to factor out, you might have to use the quadratic formula, and then sketch a graph to check your solution. So let's keep going here. I'm now on the problem set. So it says to do, find all solutions for x minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 4. So by now you should have had, actually you're going to get this for homework, x minus 2 y plus 3 squared equals 4. That means that the center of your circle is at, you go over 2 on the x, down 3 on the y. Your center of your circle, oops, gosh darn it, I did not hit my my pen. Okay, over 2, down 3. There's the center of your circle. It's going to have a radius of 2. So it goes up 2, 2, back 2, 2 there. So there's my circle. Ugh, there's my circle, if we want to call it that. And then x minus y equals 3, so negative y equals negative x plus 3, divide everything by negative 1, y equals x minus 3. So I have a slope of 1, and my y-intercept is at negative 3, which is right here, and it's going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, this. So I know it's going to hit around in those spots, okay? So I'm going to find my solutions. So I solved for y in terms of x, and now wherever I see y in this circle equation up here, I'm going to plug in x minus 3. Okay, so that's my y value, x minus 3, and then it was still, I still had to add 3. So I get x squared minus 4x plus 4 plus, these go away, x squared equals 4. So 2x squared minus 4x, my 4's will cancel out, equals 0. So let me factor a 2x out of here, times x minus 2 equals 0. So this will be true when x equals 0 and when x equals 2. Okay, and if you look at the graph, that one, x equals 0, right there. And here, if I had any artistic ability, that's x equals 2. Okay, so it actually worked out. So let's actually find the true solution sets. Y equals x minus 3 was one of our equations. Well, I know my x value. I know x equals 2. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, y equals 2 minus 3, so y equals negative 1. So one of my solutions is when x equals 2, y equals negative 1. And if x equals 0, I know that y equals 0 minus 3, y equals negative 3. So my other solution occurs when x equals 0, y is negative 3, which I know my graph is hideous, but that is what's happening there. Okay, all right, let's move on. I'm on page 6 now. Well, might not be on page 6. I'm going to be, because my copy looks a little different than yours. Okay, I'm on problem 2. It says find all solutions to the following system of equations, x plus 2y equals 0, and then this big x squared minus 2x plus y squared minus 2y minus 3 equals 0. So let's do our first step. We're going to solve for y in terms of x. X plus 2y equals 0, so 2y equals negative x. Y equals negative x divided by 2. Okay, So now I can plug that into my other equation. So I have x squared. Anywhere where I have y, I'm going to put in negative x, oops, that's a plus, negative x over 2 squared minus 2 times negative x over 2 minus 3 equals 0. So it's ugly, but don't be intimidated by it. So this becomes negative x times negative x is positive x squared, and then over 4. Negative 2 times negative x over 2 just becomes a positive x. Okay, because the 2's will cancel out. Minus 3 equals 0. So I get x squared minus 2x. I'm going to combine my x's. Sorry about that. So combine my like terms. Yeah, I had a strategy for this. Just stick with me here, guys. Plus, I know I can combine my x squareds, but stick with me. Okay, minus 3 equals 0. Now, I want to get rid of that 4 for that denominator, so I'm going to multiply everything in here by 4. So I'm going to change colors just so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So this becomes 4x squared minus 4x. As long as I multiply both sides, it's all good. Plus x squared minus 12 equals 0. So now that becomes 5x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0. So now I need to factor that quadratic function. So 5 times negative 12 is negative 60, and they have to add up to negative 4. So two numbers that would do that would be negative 10 and positive 6. My coefficient is 5x. If I put that in front of this one, the 5x minus 10, I can divide them both by 5, and that becomes x minus 2. So I'm left with x minus 2 times 5x plus 6 equals 0. X equals 2, and x equals negative 6/5. Okay, those are the values. So now I know the x values where that will become where the line will intersect with the circle. Okay, so the next step, I've got my x values. Okay, I'm going to plug them back into this original equation and figure out what my y values would be. Okay, so I know x is 2, so if I have x, actually I'm just going to use this equation right here. Y equals negative x divided by 2. So y equals, if I know x equals 2, it's going to be negative 2 divided by 2. So y equals negative 1. So one solution is going to be at 2, negative 1. I also know that x can equal negative 6/5 divided by 2, so it's times 1/2. I get negative 3/5. So I have a solution at negative 6/5. And, oh, that should have been a negative times a negative. Makes it a positive, and positive 3/5. Ha! Caught you guys before you could catch me. Okay, so those are where my solutions will be. Then what you need to do is plug these into Desmos and see if that's actually where it occurs. I'm not even going to bother to try to sketch that one out.